Welcome back to Steve Robb Reviews and welcome back to Northern Ontario. This is the update on the installation of the cell phone signal booster, the Go Boost. And in the background there you can see the tower. I'm going to show you how this was all done. And I've got a little bit of a correction from the last video. I believe I made a mistake on one of my readings, and we're going to get to that as well. But let's take a look and let's see how this was installed. This is so easy, anybody could do this. Okay, so let's start off at the beginning, and as you can see, it was a lot easier for me to just orientate that antenna to go in the right way. And so let's get over to it here, and I'll show you exactly how I installed this. So this is the bracket that I fabricated at home, and I didn't want to have a pole sitting there on a block or anything like that because that'll go up and down with the frost, right? So I decided to go with something like this, and that's all this is. Just like that. I just put a couple of screws in the joist, 2 screws here, and then put this aluminum block in the background so it can't move. And then I put the plate on top here, and you can see I just fired in a couple of rivets there, and then 3 screws. And we get to the base here, and I put a couple of rivets, and I do have a couple of stainless steel washers in there to keep it off just a bit so this doesn't fill with water, so it'll drain. And if we get up to the mast part there, well, if we take a look, you can see where I just went in with a hole right there. Now I've got to fill that with caulking, and then I just put zip ties all the way to the top. It was that easy. So let's go inside and I'll show you what it looks like inside. Okay, so I had lots of cable left over, so I just wrapped it all up there. As you could see, I got along here, and I just used some cable ties just to hold everything down. And I went all the way along as far as I could go. It doesn't get all dark on me in here. And there, we're back now. So there's the inside antenna, or transmitter, wherever it's called. And just went along there. And if we take a look up here, that's what I use, these little terminals here, instead of, you know, soldering the wires all together. Because if I ever have to change this, it's so easy just to disconnect it easily. And these are the 2 covers. 12 volt will go here. The 5 volt will go right here. And I just made this little pigtail to go right into it right there. And I'm getting like 4 or 5 bars, no problem. And this is the setup in here. And we'll go down the bottom. And I've got a battery in there, and I just looked today. That battery's from 2011. But of course, this battery never gets used below, at the most, 12.4. So it lasts a long time. So I went with analog gauges years ago, and they've been fine. This is amperage. This is my voltage. And you could see where I tied into right here. Now I just use regular household wiring, and all I did is, you see, I just put some little bit of marker to identify it as red. And that's the fuse right there. This one right here. So I did believe I made a mistake last time when I was talking about this. So I took a reading here when I was in the shop at home, and this was 1/4 of an amp draw. This here is a 1/2 an amp draw. And I had made the mistake, I believe, that I shouldn't have said this is going to be a 1/2 amp draw on the whole system. Just that you have to use this reading here, the 1/2 amp, because it's 5 volts, to size your wiring. But the whole system itself is 12 volt. This reduces it down to 5, and to power up this. And so the whole draw on the system is at your source, which would be in here. So if we just take a look here, I'll just turn this on. Turn it to DC. I better take it off here first. DC, there we go. So it's drawing, well, 200 milliamps. So maybe I would just go with 1/4 amp instead of a half. So this is no problem, it runs it. And on this particular charge controller, when you see that green light flashing, that means that the battery is charged. So this has no problem. And if you take a look at the amperage gauge here, it's hardly even, it's barely even on because there's no draw on the system. Just 1/4 amp, and you know, which is peanuts, right? So that's the system right there. And I thought it was pretty easy of an install. It took me about 2 hours out here. And boy, it gets dark in here pretty fast if you don't have the right lighting, right? So if we go over there, we'll take a look at my cell phone. And let me just turn my cell phone on because I left it right here. And I'll just turn it on for you. And you could see there 4G, 4 bars. So I'm planning on putting my camera, my cellular camera, right there on the outside, pointing right down the driveway. So if anybody comes in here, I'll get a clear view of what's going on. So, but what I'm going to do now is if you're interested, I'm just going to show you what I did. Is I changed some things around here. Today it was pretty busy. I was up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I moved all my machinery, my trailers and everything out so that I could, well, clean things up a bit. And, well, down in the corner, I moved everything down in the corner way over there. So let's take a look, and if you're interested, I'll show you exactly what I did to clean things up. Okay, so I needed my my tractor with the blade on the back, and I just turned the blade to reverse to drag stuff, right? You don't want to have it the other way, a cutting edge, because it'll do a real mean job. But it's pretty windy out here, so bear with me. And this is where I used to store my 2 trailers. So you can see I just planted some grass seed and put some fertilizer down. Over here I had machinery, I had a plow, I had discs, I had a cultivator, chain harrow. So I took all that stuff and I put it way over in the corner up there, got rid of all this stuff, and I just planted this with grass seed. Now I'll leave this here, and I'll leave this stuff right here for now. And I stuck my 2 trailers, my highway trailer right up there because I very rarely ever use it. So that's it right there. And I got a whole bunch of stuff to burn tonight, and that's going to be it right there. That stuff right there, that's going down, and that's going to get burnt tonight. So now on the front of the camp here, or the front of the garage, this is where I'm going to mount it. I'm going to mount it right up there, just on the far corner of that beam right there. And this light goes on at nighttime, so if you get close to it, it'll provide the light as well. So I'm going to put it right there, and I get 4 to 5 bars easy all the time right there. So thanks for joining me here today up in Northern Ontario. And if you're thinking about getting one of them Go Boost or any particular brand, well, they don't really burn that much. This here is around 1/4 amp an hour, maybe 6 amps a day. That solar panel will put out 5 amps in 1 hour. I'm pretty sure that I got it all covered now, that one panel will be fine. And if I have any problem in the future, well, I'll let you know. But I am thinking of changing that battery anyways, because you know what? 2011, it's had its time, right? So, and if you're thinking about getting one of these cellular cameras, well, I know quite a few people that have. They bought them and they couldn't get them to work because, of course, you only had about 1 bar where you are. and that's really not enough. So I think I'm covered now, and I look forward to showing you the cellular camera that I'm going to get, and I think it's going to be a good one. So stay tuned for that. So thanks for joining me here today, and come back again. If you haven't seen this channel before, you're welcome to subscribe and see more Northern Ontario. Cheers.